Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Psalm 118 begins what is called the Great Hallel, and this runs through Psalm 136, and it basically covers the procession to the temple that the people take. And as they would be going to the temple, they would be singing these songs, these hymns, uh, all along the way. And Psalm 118 is somewhat of an introductory psalm to this great Hallel, in that it covers kind of the whole journey all in one psalm. And then when we get to Psalm 120, it's going to back up to where they're far away from Jerusalem, and then the Psalms will progress as they move closer and closer to Jerusalem, all the way to the gate. They enter into the city, and then near the sanctuary and things like that. But Psalm 118 seems to cover the whole journey. You have verses 1 through 18 covering that time in which they're proceeding up the hill to the gate. And then starting in verse 19 through 21, you have them at the gate expressing some thoughts. And then verses 22 on down seem to be referring to the temple, as it talks about the stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone, and so on and so forth. And so Psalm 118 can be seen as somewhat of a prologue, or really a summary of really the whole journey that they would be taking as they made their journey to Jerusalem and to the temple to observe the feast. Now, the part that we read today is verses 1 through 18, which is the section in which they're proceeding up the hill. And as they're traveling up the hill, they're singing to one another, and the songs seem to be going from one section of the group to another section of the group, and they're basically saying it back and forth, singing it alternately as they climb the hill. And there's a lot of things in this section that pertains to our own journey as we proceed up the hill, because we as believers, we are climbing a hill. Every day we're climbing a hill. Every day we're getting closer and closer to our heavenly dwelling. Every day we're getting closer and closer to the heavenly city, the heavenly Jerusalem that we're walking towards and proceeding towards. And we're doing it, yes, individually, but also collectively as well, as the body of Christ. You know, a lot of the thoughts captured in this section of Psalm 118 pertains to our own journey in our spiritual walk. Verses 1 through 4 is really just a celebration of the loving kindness of God. It starts off saying, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his loving kindness is everlasting. Oh, let Israel say, his loving kindness is everlasting. Oh, let the house of Aaron say, his loving kindness is everlasting. Oh, let those who fear the Lord say, his loving kindness is everlasting." And that's really where our journey begins, in recognizing the loving kindness of the Lord. As we come to him, being embraced by him in the love and the forgiveness that we found through Jesus Christ, it's that everlasting love that draws us to him initially on our journey. But verse 5 introduces the fact that it isn't all roses. It's not all rose petals as we begin our journey before the Lord. In verse 5 it says, "From my distress I called upon the Lord." And truly, you know, even though our journey starts off with a celebration of the loving kindness of God, it doesn't take too long before we start entering into various distresses, difficulties, hardships, trials, temptations, and that becomes a reality for us. And so the honeymoon, as they would say, is over, and reality sinks in, and we get down into the trenches of life, and we begin to realize that, yes, still the loving kindness of the Lord is everlasting, but at the same time, this journey that we walk under the loving kindness of God is very difficult. However, there's a recognition of some things about God that helps during these distresses. We see that the Lord answers our prayers as you continue in verse 5. It talks about the Lord is for me. Verse 6, "I will not fear." Verse 7, again, "The Lord is for me among those who help me." In verse 8, "It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man." And then verse 10 on down talks about him being surrounded. being surrounded like bees. The nation surrounded them, pushed them violently. But verse 13, but the Lord helped me. The Lord, verse 14, is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. And then it talks about this sound of joyful shouting and salvation in the tents of the righteous. When we realize that, yes, there is distress, but we have a God who loves us, who's helping us, who's coming alongside us, and really giving us the strength to proceed up this hill as we get closer and closer to his dwelling place. It becomes a sense of rejoicing, almost similar to the rejoicing that was found at the beginning of the journey when we were celebrating the loving kindness of God that is everlasting. And so then we find that the Lord, the right hand of the Lord does valiantly. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord does valiantly. I will not die, but live and tell the works of the Lord. The Lord has disciplined me severely, but he has not given me over to death. God, yes, the journey is difficult, but God is there for us. And sometimes he uses hardships and difficulties to train us, to discipline us, to get us on the right path. But through it all, he is there to help us and to guide us and to keep us on our journey. So let's be encouraged by this first part of Psalm 118. Let's be encouraged to say, you know what, just as those people of Israel were climbing that hill and celebrating the loving kindness of God, but also the help of God, we can do the same thing as we are proceeding up the hill to God's dwelling place where he is. So these are some things we can reflect on and think about as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.